You here?
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay, don't hit the camera, okay?
It's a good thing I'm a pro.
Okay.
A little off the mark.
That was close to the camera, man. Hey, welcome to About That. I'm Andrew Chang, and today we're talking baseball. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I don't play baseball, and even if I did, it's a little too cold out right now for baseball. But over the weekend, the Major League Baseball season officially got underway, and the game is a bit different.
Yeah, it's all about the pitch clock. It's about the battle between the pitcher and the hitter, as it always has been. But the beauty of the clock is you gotta create action. But the rule I love the most is the shift rule. I think it's gonna create all kinds of offense.
Now, there's an old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But most people agree Major League Baseball needs fixing. Stadium attendance down 5.4% over the last 3 years. TV ratings down 12% over just a 2-year period. So today, my producer Brock and I are going to break down the big changes to how baseball is played. Because Brock, unlike me, you actually play and watch baseball, right?
Yeah, so I used to play rep growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
I don't play anymore, but I still love to watch.
You almost hit the camera there, by the way.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous. Yeah,
Careful.
I'm kind of worried about hitting that camera.
But you watch and you get like pretty invested, right?
Yeah, it's a big part of my life. I might be exposing myself a bit here, but last weekend I actually took part in an 8-hour fantasy baseball draft.
8 hours?
Yeah, so maybe you think that's sad, maybe you think it's cool.
No, it's just dedicated. So we're going to talk about baseball. We're also going to explain why these changes are very much a matter of survival. Okay, so let's start with the why and then we'll get to the what. Why change? Well, let me answer the question with another question. If you, and I mean you, like you watching me right now, if you're not into baseball, why is that? Now, if I were to read your mind and guess, I'd say it's because you think the game is boring.
Whoa, hey, it's not boring.
It's kind of boring. That has to be the most common criticism of the sport. And it's something Major League Baseball desperately wants to change.
This guy's oblivious to how good it is. Join the millions of subscribers, maybe even this guy.
Come to sleep. Like, tell you what, though, how comfortable is that?
But I mean, that kid's going to have a nice, well-rested life because he could sleep anywhere.
Last season, an average MLB game clocked in at around 3 hours and 7 minutes, which is a pretty long time. But it's not just the game length that makes baseball boring, it's also the pace of the game. It's been slowing down. Sometimes between pitches, you could have 4 minutes go by without a single thing happening.
And now the corner infielders are going to come in and talk a little bit. They're buying some time for the bullpen.
How about this? Mike Napoli was not out there. There you go. So they're not looking at the baseball. That's called stalling for time.
And sure enough, when Major League Baseball studied the trends, overall game time has been steadily going up for decades. But they also noticed something else. Batters were striking out way more often. So take a look. The strikeout rate in 1950, just under 10%. Last year, it happened more than twice as often. And that's kind of a strange one, right? Well, it turns out these two things might be related. That if you have pitchers taking minutes sometimes between pitches, you know, they have time to analyze, strategize, control the flow of the game. They get to recharge if need be. And all of a sudden, baseball kind of becomes a two-player game. Wouldn't you say, Brock?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, casual fans don't really want a duel between just a single pitcher and a single batter. They want to see the whole defensive team kind of get involved, right? I mean, hardcore fans might like it, but for casual ones you're trying to bring in, not so much.
Yeah, you want two teams playing against each other, right? So the first big change, the pitch clock. So the new rule, a pitcher gets just 15 seconds between pitches when the bases are empty. So you got to throw the ball, catcher's got to catch it, I got to get the ball back, and I'm basically already having to frame up for my next pitch because all of a sudden I've got less than 10 seconds to go before time runs out and I've got to start the pitching motion get the ball back out. Now, if there are runners on base, the pitcher gets an extra 5 seconds, and there's a 30-second timer between different batters, and we could go on. If a pitcher goes over time, that's an automatic ball. If the batter isn't ready for a pitch by the time there's only 8 seconds left on the clock, that's an automatic strike. But the bottom line is that it's a lot faster than baseball is now, and that change has kind of been working.
Meanwhile, I believe Manny has just been called for a violation. Not getting in the box in time. Yeah, it's 0-1 as he stands in.
During this year's preseason, the league used the pitch clock, and games were like half an hour shorter, 2 hours and 39 minutes on average. So you've got faster games and less downtime, more action. So I don't know, Brock, from a pace perspective, how big of a deal was that?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. I feel like as a casual fan, you're not going to want to watch a 3-hour game, which is what you were saying average times are earlier, right? So half an hour, that's like, what, a sixth? That's a big deal. It's still a long game, but for someone trying to get used to the sport, I think it's a lot better.
Okay, so there you go. Next rule change, bigger bases. So one of the big problems in baseball today is that one of the most exciting plays in the game happens less and less often. See for yourself, stolen base attempts per game, pretty high in the 70s and 80s, more than 2 per game. The rate now cut in half. These days, you tend to see more power hitters, more home runs, as opposed to, people playing short ball, hitting singles and then stealing bases.
2 of the walk and a run scored. Runner goes, the throw down to second base. That one is not in time, and another stolen base in the inning.
Trying to add to the lead. Sawinski's going to try for third. And he is safe.
So increase the size of each base means the distance between each base gets shorter. Before this year, the bases were all 15 inches on all sides, square. Now they're 18 inches square. And I'll admit, my first reaction to this was, how could this possibly be such a big deal? It's sort of like if they made the 100-meter dash into a 99-meter dash. Like who cares? But Brock, you were saying this is, I don't know, kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah, I mean, on its face, a couple inches might not seem significant, but if I'm running full speed trying to steal a bag and someone's glove is coming down to try and tag me out, those few inches could be the difference between me being safe or being tagged out, right? So as a runner, it's a big deal. And then the other aspect is the safety part. And so if I'm a defender trying to catch a ball, my foot's on the bag. If I have someone, again, running full speed, they might collide with me. There's instances where a cleat can step on your ankle. So again, those few inches added to the base could have some safety parts as well.
So there you go, safety concern, but the idea here is that the change just might incentivize people to steal more, which, kind of means more exciting plays for fans, hopefully more bums in seats. Okay, the last major rule change we're looking at, restrictions on defensive shifts. So this one's all about how tactically players are allowed to spread out across the field. So if you imagine a typical setup where someone's up at bat, the infielders might space out evenly like so. Because who knows where the ball's going to go, right? And we don't want to leave any weak points in our defense. But now let's say the next batter up is left-handed. And let's say we've done our homework on him. So we know that statistically he almost always hits into this part of the field. So if I'm smart, I might distribute my infielders more like this. But here's the problem. While that might be a sound play, it's not a very interesting one. Because in all likelihood, he's going to swing, the ball's going to come out to one of us, and we're going to put him out. Wouldn't the game be much more exciting if we weren't allowed to stack on this side of the field and had to just rely on our raw quickness, athleticism, and skill to throw that runner out?
Smith got a piece of it. Barry grab behind him, back flip to second. On to first, a double play.
Breaking ball hit towards second, and glove by Coward. Are you serious? Turn the double play, and they get out of it.
That's why the rule change. Brock?
So now defensive teams, they have to have a first baseman and a second baseman on one side of second bag, and then a shortstop and third on the other. And it's for exactly what you said, to make more athletic plays, more defensive plays, getting those balls.
Because yeah, otherwise shifting happens all the time, especially against lefties. Singles hit per game reached an all-time low the past 3 seasons, and the overall batting average, 243, the lowest it's been since 1968. So that's your breakdown of the major rule changes. A pitch clock to speed up the game, less long, more action, bigger bases to encourage more exciting steal attempts, and eliminating the shift to create more hits or more athletic plays by infielders. But we're not done, because now that we've gone through the rule changes, I want to talk more with my friend Donovan Bennett about what this might actually mean for pro baseball's future.
Their numbers.
Springer makes the catch. Center, and Kiermaier coming on. Here comes Kiermaier, and the Blue Jays have taken the lead. And he got him. And the Blue Jays win this wild game on opening day by a score of 10-9.
Hey, welcome back to About That. So a little bit of Blue Jays action there for you. They pulled off a 10-9 victory over the Cardinals last Thursday to start their season. Lots of hits, lots of runs, right? That's kind of what they're looking for. And the Jays, they're back in action tonight against the Kansas City Royals. Of course, lots of other teams have also been, playing ball since the season got underway late last week. And so we have Donovan Bennett joining us right now, Sportsnet writer, podcaster, host. You've been following, baseball for a long time, but most notably, the most recent games that we've seen. And I'm just kind of curious to know, first of all, what your sense is. Have the changes improved the game noticeably?
100%. And you could also key me as Blue Jays fan because I am happy to see these changes. This is a bipartisan issue, right? No one has the time to watch essentially an Avatar sequel 162 times a year. So I think the players are on board, the management, the league's on board, and most importantly, us as fans are on board with the changes. So the few people who have dissented have been like, well, what things do we have in life where there's no distractions and you just take your time with it? I'm like,
they like the pace of the game.
It's called a meditation app. That's not what this is for. This is an entertainment vehicle. And Major League Baseball, when they did a survey, they learned that fans by and large want 2 things. They want a quicker pace and they want more action. Right. They've given you both.
And so they've made these changes, but help me understand, if we back up just slightly, how big was the problem that Major League Baseball was trying to solve in the first place?
Well, let's back up not slightly. Let's go way back. 1924, the average time of game was 1 hour and 54 minutes, less than 2 hours. Yeah. By 2000, it creeps up to over 3 hours. We don't have that amount of disposable time in our lives. And so what they're actually doing is they're bringing the game back to what it was traditionally. Quicker pace, more action. The teams have gotten so smart in terms of positioning players where they should be, shifting, and so there was really only a couple outcomes: home run, strikeout, or walk. So now we have more drama, more action, and so actually what you see is going to be closer to what we saw baseball was back in the day when we fell in love with it.
That's kind of ironic that modernizing the game is just going back in time to what it used to be, the good old days.
Yeah.
In a way, right?
Totally. But here we are, and the difference over time though is baseball has lost relevance, right? Yeah. We can talk about the data and the metrics in terms of fans and revenue, but in most countries, baseball has fallen behind multiple sports, whether it's in this country, obviously hockey, in the United States, football and basketball. So I think it's about market share as well.
Okay, so what's next then for Major League Baseball? Because they've made this, these sort of once in a lifetime once in a century, changes, do they just sit back and say, okay, so we made the changes, let's just watch, or are there more changes coming down the pipe? Like, what's your sense of that?
I think this is the biggest change we've seen in the game since integration, right? They've ripped off the Band-Aid, changed a bunch of things at one time. So now I think there's no sacred cows, which means maybe robot umpires. I know, but I think you got here in a car that drove itself. So I think we could have umpires that officiate games by themselves.
I wish I had a self-driving car, by the way. That'd be a nice perk.
That'll be the next segment about that. But I do think that now anything is on the table because for the first time in a long time, they've put the fans first in the decision making.
You say anything could be on the table. You remember the XFL?
Oh, of course I do. Yeah.
When they instead of the coin flip, they do that goofy scramble.
Yeah.
Couple of safeties going to scramble for the right to possession. The hometown hero is on it, but the ball's still alive. Jamel Williams jumps on it. Yes. And the hometown guys have right to kick or receive. We haven't even started yet, Buddy, and the place is already going nuts.
Yes, and there was an injury the first time they ever did it.
Yeah. So anything goes, Donovan? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know if we're going to go that far. I don't know if you have to worry about Bo Bichette sliding to win the coin toss, but I do think there's more innovation to come.
Donovan Bennett, always fun to talk to you. Thank you so much.